I'm Timmy Toliver, and welcome to the Food Coup. On today's program, we will be making some Matzah Brei, which, for those of you who don't know, is basically a Jewish pancake. And Jews make Matzah Brei when they are celebrating Passover, which is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now, Passover is a holiday that celebrates freedom. For those of you that have never celebrated it, it's kind of like how white girls like to celebrate Starbucks on a daily basis. Alright, so I'm just getting a few things ready right now. Matzah Brei is a delicious thing that can be eaten for breakfast, it can be eaten for lunch, it can be eaten as a dessert. It's one of my personal favorites. But I'm going to show you how to make it today. So matzah bread is hard as a rock, as you can see. So really, to get it usable for the Matzah Brei, we need to soak it. So I have a whole stack of matzahs here. We won't use it all. But what we will do is break it into some smaller pieces so it can fit in my bowl. I'm going in about third size pieces here. You can do halves or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Kind of just jam it in there. And we want to make our matzah be able to be kind of below the brim, so when it does soak, it will be nice and wet. We like our matzahs wet around here, for sure. Let's start with this amount, maybe a little bit more, a couple more pieces of matzah. Just jam it in that bowl. So now I'm going to pour some water all over the matzah, get it nice and wet. The matzah really absorbs water well. We're just going to keep pouring the water over. It's okay if you splash a little bit all over the counter. So the matzah has been soaking for 30 minutes. As you can see, it's nice and wet. And we're going to drain the water out. So pour it over the sink. You'll probably get a little bit of debris in your sink. It's just fine. I'm doing it over my disposal sink, so it should be fine. Now you might notice that some of your matzah is really soaking wet, and we don't want it too wet. So what I'm going to do is just pull the matzah out in clumps and squeeze a little bit of the water out over the sink. Make sure I get the excess water out. So we've got some nice moist matzah that's ready to be mixed with the egg. I'm going to add 2 eggs for this recipe. Depending on the size of your matzah brei, you might use 1 egg or 3 eggs or 4 eggs. It really depends. I just want to say something real quick. I've been traveling the world my whole life, so you might hear my accent go in and out a few times. Just a heads up. So some people might want to stir the egg before you mix it in, but I say crack it and throw it right in. You toss your eggs aside, you won't need them. Your egg shells. You can put them in your compost bin or whatnot, depending on what you have in your backyard. I have a compost bin, so I'll be tossing it in there. And feel free to just get right in there, dig around the eggs, mix it all in. Get it nice and mixed together. Now, doesn't that look appetizing, folks? Doesn't that look delicious? The sound, I can tell you, is amazing. So you can flavor your matzah brei however you like. Some people put salt, some people put garlic, other things. I'm going for a sweet matzah brei, so I add, it's a secret, the Timmy Toliver special, I add cinnamon sugar to it. Now, most people add their toppings at the end. I like to add it in the middle of cooking, before we even cook, and at the end. Gives you extra sweetness and cinnamon. Now we're going to mix that all in. Adds a little bit of extra flavor to the cooking process, if you know what I mean. And now, folks, a word on lubrication. The last thing you want is a dry brei, so we're going to get the pan nice and oiled up before we get started, okay? I'm taking a little bit of butter. You can use salted or unsalted. This is unsalted. And I'm just going to spread it around there, make sure it's nice and lubed. We want a firm matzah brei, but we want it to go in and out easy. The last thing we want is to get stuck, if you know what I'm saying. So place the matzah brei in, spread it around evenly. This is a fun recipe to make with kids. They like getting their hands all mucked up. Oh, would you look at that? I have almost a perfect amount here. I didn't even measure. You know what they say? Measure 0 times, cut 0 times. So now we're gonna bring it to the stove here, put it on a nice big burner, and I'm gonna put it on the high heat. Now it should take a good 5, 10, 12 minutes just to start heating up on this side. We'll check back in a little bit to see if it's ready to be flipped to the other side. I'm gonna turn the heat a little bit lower from high, not all the way to medium, but somewhere in between. And I'm also going to turn on my smoke fan because burning matzah brei will generate a little bit of smoke. Don't be afraid. Remember, this was a dry bread, crackery bread, so it cooks in a dry way with smoke. And when you're flipping the matzah brei, want to be over the sink, want to make sure it's got some nice movement to it. See how I have a nice movement? And then when you're ready, you give it a go and flip it. Just like that. Now, the other side needs to cook just as this did. You can see there's a nice crispy shell developing on it. And we're going to bring it back over. Bump it up a little bit closer to high. And again, we want to make sure it's away from the edges so it doesn't stick. See how we have a nice shape to it there? You got to have a nice curve to your matzah brei. Kind of like a nice booty. Nice and curved there. We should be able to plate it up real nicely. I'm going to just put the plate over, flip it over, and voila! We have some nice matzah brei. Just give out some nice portions here. And this stuff is delicious. Again, you can eat it for breakfast. You can eat it for dessert, any meal you like, really. And when I serve it, I like to press down on the matzah brei. Get nice and flat. You can see it's very hot, which makes nice for the addition of butter. Whoop, a little butter fair there. Put your butter on. And of course, sprinkle with cinnamon sugar. Thank you for watching Timmy Toliver's Food Coup.